Hello and welcome to day 209 in the Not Alone Today chronological Bible reading plan. Today we are reading Jeremiah 23 from verse 1 to 8 and chapter 38 from verse 1 to 28, which is the entire chapter. We are still in the Christian Standard Bible for this week. Jeremiah 23 from verse 1 to 8. Woe to the shepherds who destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture. This is the Lord's declaration. Therefore, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says about the shepherds who tend my people. You have scattered my flock, banished them, and have not attended to them. I am about to attend to you because of your evil acts. This is the Lord's declaration. I will gather the remnant of my flock from all the lands where I have banished them, and I will return them to their grazing land. They will become fruitful and numerous. I will raise up shepherds over them who will tend them. They will no longer be afraid or discouraged, nor will any be missing. This is the Lord's declaration. Look, the days are coming. This is the Lord's declaration. When I will raise up a righteous branch for David, he will reign wisely as king and administer justice and righteousness in the land. In his days, Judah will be saved, and Israel will dwell securely. This is the name he will be called. The Lord is our righteousness. Look, the days are coming, the Lord's declaration, when it will no longer be said, as the Lord lives who brought the Israelites from the land of Egypt, but as the Lord lives who brought and led the descendants of the house of Israel from the land of the north and from all the other countries where I had banished them. They will dwell once more in their own land. Chapter 38. Now Shephatiah son of Matan, Gedaliah son of Pashur, Jukal son of Shelemiah, and Pashur son of Malkijah heard the words Jeremiah was speaking to all the people. This is what the Lord says. Whoever stays in this city will die by the sword, famine, and plague, but whoever surrenders to the Chaldeans will live. He will retain his life like the spoils of war and will live. This is what the Lord says. This city will most certainly be handed over to the king of Babylon's army, and he will capture it. The officials then said to the king, this man ought to die because he is weakening the morale of the warriors who remain in this city and of all the people by speaking to them in this way. This man is not pursuing the welfare of these people but their harm. King Zedekiah said, here he is, he's in your hands, since the king can't do anything against you. So they took Jeremiah and dropped him into the cistern of Malchiah, the king's son, which was in the guard's courtyard, lowering Jeremiah with ropes. There was no water in the cistern, only mud, and Jeremiah sank in the mud. But Ebed-Melech, a Cushite court official in the king's palace, heard Jeremiah had been put into the cistern, while the king was sitting at the Benjamin gate. Ebed-Melech went from the king's palace and spoke to the king. My lord the king, these men have been evil in all they have done to the prophet Jeremiah. They have dropped him into the cistern where he will die from hunger, because there is no more bread in the city. So the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Cushite, take from here 30 men under your authority and pull the prophet Jeremiah up from the cistern before he dies. So Ebed-Melech took the men under his authority and went to the king's palace to a place below the storehouse. From there he took old rags and worn-out clothes and lowered them by ropes to Jeremiah in the cistern. Ebed-Melech the Cushite called down to Jeremiah, place these old rags and clothes between your armpits and the ropes. Jeremiah did this. They pulled him up with the ropes and lifted him out of the cistern, but he remained in the guard's courtyard. King Zedekiah sent for the prophet Jeremiah and received him at the third entrance of the Lord's temple. The king said to Jeremiah, I'm going to ask you something. Don't hide anything from me. Jeremiah replied to Zedekiah, if I tell you, you will kill me, won't you? Besides, if I give you advice, you won't listen to me anyway. King Zedekiah swore to Jeremiah in private, as the Lord lives who has given us this life, I will not kill you or hand you over to those men who intend to take your life. Jeremiah therefore said to Zedekiah, this is what the Lord, the God of armies, the God of Israel says. If indeed you surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then you will live. This city will not be burned, and you and your household will survive. But if you do not surrender to the officials of the king of Babylon, then this city will be handed over to the Chaldeans. They will burn it, and you yourself will not escape from them." But King Zedekiah said to Jeremiah, "I am worried about the Judeans who have defected to the Chaldeans. They may hand me over to the Judeans to abuse me." "They will not hand you over," Jeremiah replied. "Obey the Lord in what I am telling you, so it may go well for you and you can live. But if you refuse to surrender, this is the verdict that the Lord has shown me. All the women who remain in the palace of Judah's king will be brought out to the officials of the king of Babylon and will say to you, 'Your trusted friends misled you and overcame you. Your feet sank into the mire and they deserted you.' All your wives and children will be brought out to the Chaldeans. You yourself will not escape from them, for you will be seized by the king of Babylon and this city will burn." Then Zedekiah warned Jeremiah, "Don't let anyone know about this conversation or you will die. The officials may hear that I have spoken with you and come and demand of you, 'Tell us what you said to the king. Don't hide anything from us and we won't kill you. Also, what did the king say to you?' If they do, tell them, 'I was bringing before the king my petition that he not return me to the house of Jonathan to die there.'" All the officials did come to Jeremiah and they questioned him. He reported the exact words to them the king had commanded, and they quit speaking with him because the conversation had not been overheard. Jeremiah remained in the guard's courtyard until the day Jerusalem was captured, and he was there when it happened. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I'm with you alone today, and today we've read a couple of passages. From chapter 23, verse 1 to 8 of Jeremiah, we saw the indictment of God against the leaders, and I like the fact that they are likened to shepherds. These are leaders, even in a political sense, if you will, but yet God is given shepherdhood as a metaphor for leadership, and in this case, the shepherds have failed. In Jeremiah 38, we saw how some of the officials had arrested Jeremiah, as it were, and threw him into a cistern, a muddy cistern with no water, and left him there to die. The city was already going through a famine because of the siege of the Babylonians, and so it's only a matter of time for Jeremiah to die. But Ebed-Melech, a Cushite, which would be an Ethiopian, as some other translations put it, in the king's palace, went and had a word with the king and was able to rescue Jeremiah at the command of the king. And then we read that Zedekiah, the king, approached Jeremiah to inquire yet again if the Lord does have a message. Jeremiah reiterated the same message he has said again and again. This city will be handed over to the Chaldeans. And if the king does that and surrenders, he will live. If he does not surrender, he will die. The king warned Jeremiah not to disclose their conversation, and Jeremiah kept his part of that deal. And we're told at the end that Jeremiah was there, living in that courtyard, until the day when indeed all he has prophesied fully happened. Jerusalem was captured, and Jeremiah was there to witness it. Two things that stood out to me from both passages, from Jeremiah 23 is, again, I've mentioned it earlier on, that metaphor of shepherdhood. I was teaching a class on leadership recently, and one of the activities I did with these master's students was to have them reflect on various metaphors for leadership. We actually had an activity where we used various names to capture different types of leaders and then categorized them. And it was interesting to see the various metaphors that they came up with. But yes, shepherd was one of those outstanding ones amongst the metaphors we considered. That tells us that whatever level of influence we've been given to lead, amongst other things, the people that are supposed, as it were, to follow, God sees them in some sense as a flock that we are to shepherd. And it only takes knowing the sacrifices of real life shepherds, especially in context where this is a big deal, for us to begin to appreciate the demands of leadership upon us. at any level that God might have committed that into our hands. And then in Jeremiah 38, a couple of things stood out to me. First, the picture of authority. The king said to Ebed-Melech that he should get 30 men under his authority. It says in verse 10, so the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Cushite, take from here 30 men under your authority and pull the prophet Jeremiah up from the cistern before he dies. And it just reminds me of the centurion he went to Jesus himself and said, I say to this one, go, and he goes. I say to that one, go, and he goes. I don't need you to come to my house. Just send a word. Again, just understanding delegated authority. And here we are as believers. We also have a delegated authority from the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords to continue to participate in his mission on this side of eternity. And I'm trusting that God will help us by his grace so that we steward that authority very well. And part of what authority is meant to do, just again in the imagery of that verse 10, is it's meant to rescue people, not to oppress. Take 30 men under your authority and pull the prophet up from the cistern before he dies. Authority is to rescue, is not to oppress. And the second thing that stood out to me, and again we can make of this what we want, was the fact that Zedekiah warned Jeremiah. He says in verse 24 and following, don't let anyone know about this conversation. In fact, he specifically gave Jeremiah what to say when they come asking, what did we talk about? And we're told that Jeremiah did exactly that. And the question comes, did Jeremiah lie? Is this self-defense? These are ethical questions that we can take in all sorts of direction. But indeed, Jeremiah reported the exact words that the king had commanded him. That spared his life and made him alive to witness the things he has been prophesying about. I think it comes down to wisdom. And again, sometimes people use this in an abused sense of the word, as though to say, when you are doing what is wrong, you are being wise. No. The Bible says wisdom is profitable to direct. But in this case, wisdom is knowing how to align himself with the preservation God has made available. God could very well have left him to die in the muddy cistern. He brought him out because he wants him, amongst other things, to witness what verse 28 says he will witness. And for that to happen at that point in time is to play along the script, as it were, even if it means saying the things that Zedekiah had said he should say. One thing is sure, he did not at any point in time undermine the message of God, even when it meant risking his life. He said to Zedekiah, if I tell you the truth, you're going to kill me. Zedekiah said, I'm not going to kill you. And then, of course, he went on and still said the same thing God has been saying to him to say to the king and to the people. And so he's unwavering in his faith, even though in that passage he did have to say what the king told him to say, lie, so as to preserve his life. It was similar to what happened with Samuel when God told him to go and anoint from amongst the sons of Jesse, and he said, if Saul hears of this, he's going to kill me. But what did he do? He went on there and says, I'm here to sacrifice, which in a sense was true, but just an half-truth. It wasn't the sacrifice that was the real deal of his coming. It was to come and anoint a king when there was already a king on the throne. And that was a risky business. But again, in employing that wisdom, Samuel preserved his life and lived long enough to deliver many more messages as God would have him do in his day and time. I'll leave it with us at that point. I don't know what you make of Jeremiah's seeming lie and how that sits with you. But we'll flip the page again on day 210 as we continue in this journey. But till then, just remember, you're not alone today. God bless you.